All right, welcome back everybody and hello world. We're continuing with our WWDC watch along sessions, and this time around it's about use Xcode for server-side development. So I'm really interested what they're going to show us, if they're just going to summarize how you can already do that, or if there's something new. They usually, when they do videos about these topics, they usually do both. They summarize how it works, and also they talk about some new improvements they have introduced this year. So I'm really looking out for them. And I'll probably just write down the things that are most notable if they, basically just summarize what's already there and focus more on the new stuff. So if you want to watch alongside me, as always, you need to open the video on the side. I'm going to count down from 3 and we can click the play button at the same time. You can watch me while I'm taking notes, or you can just skip the video to the end and just see my summary of the notes. All right, so let me get the music ready by turning it off and showing you the thumbnail, and I'm ready. So let's count down from 3, 2, 1, play. Hi, Tom. So far, nothing new. All right, so we have watched another session, and I have to just go back to the last slide there. I missed the last points. All right, so it was codable for safe serialization, URL session to interact with the server. They didn't really mention it, but interesting that they put it into the wrap-up. And Xcode is a powerful development environment. All right, so this was use Xcode for server-side development. And the most important thing from my side, at least up front, there was nothing new. So no new feature at all that helps us improve the overall server development experience. Nothing specifically for server, at least. I would say this was more or less a summary of what is possible to basically tell developers who are just focused on app development that there is a possibility to write actually server-side code and build it right within Xcode. And they demoed this with a very basic app that they wrote using Vapor. So I definitely recommend everybody who's in here to just visit the website vapor.codes, which is basically a documentation for Vapor. And you can just click the Get Started here. This will walk you through what you need to do to get started. And you can just start with the Hello World example, for example. And if you just use the macOS path, it will also show you how this all works together with Xcode. And you do use Xcode for this guide. So I definitely recommend checking out docs.vapor.codes. And Apple uses this themselves in their demo. And you can see some basic server code here, which is basically just having a @main, and you need to provide an executable in your package manifest to make sure that this works. And you need to depend on Vapor there, and then you can run something like this where you just run the application and respond with something specific. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here, just showing like some of the code examples they had. Like on the client side, of course they used async await and the URL session to like request this, and they requested it locally. So this is the one that was running within Xcode. So you can basically have a scheme or a target for your server side in Xcode. You can run this, and then you can switch to a different scheme, which is from your app, and run that. Just have to make sure that you point that debug mode at least to your local server. And then you can basically see both the server side and your app's output in the console, which is really cool. And this was possible before though, so this is not new, but still they basically summarized that. They also mentioned that there's a lot of services or providers where you can host your server. And in their example, they used Heroku, and they also explained that for Heroku, there's a build pack, that's what it's called, created by the community, which makes it really easy to ship to Heroku. And I personally would say Heroku is one of the easiest way to get started. So if you're new to server-side development, Heroku is definitely great. You can start for free on Heroku, building a free web app, basically. There are some limitations, but it also scales if your app scales. All right, then they went into a bit more detailed example. I still think this is a basic example. They didn't show much. They just said like you can use different kinds of data. You should definitely go for a database if you're writing a serious server. And this is definitely a topic that will also be covered on the vapor.codes website. So make sure to check that out. And yeah, I think the only notable thing is that when they defined their storage on the server, they used an actor for this because they had a parameter called, or a property called donuts in it, and it could have been changed from different places. And an actor makes sure that there's no data races going on that can change this in a way that you don't want to. I'm guessing that Vapor already has that in the database level, so you can't ever have something like that, I'm guessing, but they might change their implementation internally also to use actors and things like that. And I've heard that I think Tom Condon or someone that wrote Vapor, or was the session from Tom Condon, I'm not sure, basically that they're planning to bring out a new major version of Vapor with full support for async await and actors, etc. once Swift 6 comes out. So that's basically the time plan there. Until then, you can use async await, but I think actors are not going to be built in just yet. into Vapor. But overall, I would say if you're interested in server-side development, I'd rather recommend you just go to the vapor.code's website and you just follow that path and you just read the docs and go step by step. I think that's the best way to learn. This session, I think, is more like a hint that you have this possibility and a reminder from Apple. I wouldn't say this is a good introduction. So I wouldn't recommend watching this session as an introduction. I think it's just to reach more people, and they just had one more session here. And yeah, I think the purpose was something else here than giving an introduction. All right, this is my summary for this video. For this session, and we have a lot of more sessions to watch, but I'm not going to watch them all. I'm good. My plan was just to stream the first week, and we are already on the Friday, on the last day of WWDC. So I'm planning to, I think, watch one more session, and then it's going to be over for me for today. And also then for my like this year's WWDC coverage as watch-alongs. So I'll be having one more, and then we will probably finish it off. So if you want to stay, if you're watching on Twitch, you can stay, and we're going to watch Writing for Interfaces next together. Everyone else who's watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like this video right now, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And we'll be seeing each other in the next video. So see you in a couple of minutes.